Welcome back to Steel and Vance. We're continuing our conversation with Premier David Eby, and we've got to get to, as we were mentioning prior to the break, we've got to get to the crime piece of this puzzle. We talked about it for 20 episodes now.
We've talked a lot about prolific offenders, stranger attacks. People are upset. We now know that all the premiers, I assume you as well, reached out to the federal government, the prime minister, and said, part of this problem is around bail reform. You guys got to fix this. How do you feel about it?
Well, you know, I think a lot of British Columbians understand how intertwined this issue is with mental health and addiction, and we're compassionate about it and we're concerned about it, but that doesn't mean we accept violent crime in our communities. And so from a government perspective, our Safer Communities plan is about the mental health and addiction piece around a pilot at St. Paul's we're working on, a seamless drug treatment, around community intervention, around mental health from peers instead of from police, to free police up to do other things, but also making sure there's the funding for the police to be able to respond to these things across the province, and directing the prosecutors to be really clear within our provincial authority about what they should be asking the courts for. So on those two different streams, we have to go at it, and yeah, I'm joining with the other premiers, and I've been talking about it with them since day one, and it'll be on the agenda with the Prime Minister as well when we meet with him in January, I hope.
Good.
Can you cover your ears for a second? I have something to ask you that's a little bit awkward.
Sure.
The decision between the Surrey Police Services and the RCMP, is that coming?
It's awkward because my husband, just full disclosure, is the chief of the Surrey Police Service, which is why Jody's asking this question.
I would like to ask the question.
A lot of people in Surrey.
But I care, and I want to know, because I worry about this, and we cover it a lot.
Yeah, it's critically important. And the question from the provincial point of view is, how are we ensuring safety in Surrey?
Yes.
You know, making sure that the people of Surrey are safe. That's what the Police Act says the minister's responsibility is. And that's the work that the public service is doing right now. They have a proposal from Surrey. They're reviewing it to make sure that the police officers are going to be there in the community, that the public is going to be safe, regardless of which route the community chooses to go. And so that is the core focus of everybody, is making sure that that Surrey is safe from the provincial level. From the municipal level, obviously, this is incredibly challenging. You know, you have one mayor taking Surrey down a particular path, and then another mayor saying we don't want to go in that direction. So our end of it is to make sure that Surrey remains safe, and that work is happening currently. And also to be transparent with the public. Here's what this means. Here's what the shift would mean. Here's what the direction means, and provide that information.
Cost would be,
exactly right.
What has been invested so far, but not an imminent, not an announcement.
We're talking
The
before
minister has said the end of January.
End of January. Okay, so there we go.
All right.
It's the 19th.
We have decriminalization about to happen in BC. This is the only province doing it. It's a bit of an experiment. How are we going to judge whether it's effective or not?
Well, you know, we've done a lot of work on safe supply, trying to get between the predatory drug dealers and people with addiction issues, and get them in contact with the health system. We've done the decriminalization work. We're going to lead the country in saying, look, come test your drugs before you use them. Like, no one's going to take them away from you. Like, just make sure that you stay alive. Right. But the whole point of that is, in my opinion, to keep people alive so they can get into treatment.
Right.
So that they have a chance to rebuild from addiction. And I've met so many people. Like I had a guy I worked with in the downtown east side, and he was in really deep. He was super sick with addiction, and I ran into him years later at a recovery club I was just visiting to say hi. And he's like, I heard you were coming. I wanted to come. I wanted to tell you, like, I've turned my life around. I'm working. I've got a truck, and thank you, because you saw me and you supported me. And it was just like one of those moments where it was so huge. I'm a huge believer in recovery and treatment, and so you're going to see an increased emphasis from us on that.
We had Guy Felicella on here last week, week before last, and it is really something when you see the journey, when somebody shows you who they were at their worst moment, and then where they are when they found their way through. So I love that story coming from you, and we're hearing more of that. I want to get to the Crown just a little on the prolific offenders, as well as the decriminalization, because when there are people who find themselves in the system, right, where police have taken somebody who has committed a crime, whatever that crime may be, and then comes out on bail, and then comes out on bail, and then comes out on bail, like there's this frustration and this feeling, I know in the city of Vancouver, Metro Vancouver, with multiple stranger danger attacks, and this, people feel unsafe given the way the system is currently working. As somebody who definitely knows the legal system intimately, how do we find our way out of that?
Yeah, so the the prosecutors in our province, they live in the communities where they serve. They care as much about community safety as anyone else. I haven't met a single prosecutor that's not dedicated to their work in ensuring community safety. They have a real challenge because they're applying the law as it's written, and they have to ask for they're not allowed to ask for things that they believe are not going to be consistent with the law or the decisions out of the Supreme Court of Canada. We've had a couple big ones. Yeah. And so that's why we're really focused on, we've issued them a direction just so that everybody can be confident that in this situation, this is what the prosecutors are going to do to try to keep those violent offenders behind bars while they're waiting for trial. But we're having to go to the federal government and say, we know you had the best of intentions with these changes. We support those intentions of making sure that people have a chance to rehabilitate and not be involved in crime, but it's not working, and we need you to fix it. And so that's the consistent message from provinces across Canada. Doug Ford has the same issue in Ontario, and they've had 5 police officers killed.
I know, it's tragic.
It's unbelievable.
It's awful.
And because everything is interconnected, like you mentioned off the top, with addiction and mental health issues and lack of secure housing, Alberta's saying no safe supply. We're going to build these giant sort of warehouse treatment centers. You at one time said you were in favor of involuntary treatment in some circumstances. Where are you at now?
So the story that really I just found astonishing was I was talking to an emergency room worker, and that person told me, look, we see some people 3 times in a shift.
Oh my God.
They overdose, they are brought in, they're Narcan, they recover, they discharge themselves against medical advice, and then they're back in a couple hours. And I talked to other doctors. I was like, is this what you're seeing? And they said, yes. I was talking to Mayor Hurley from Burnaby. He used to be a firefighter. He's like, 3 is nothing. We would see people 5 times in a row.
Sad.
So I know we can do better. The way that it works right now is you just can keep overdosing and overdosing and overdosing and being released. And our emergency rooms are under huge stress. And the way that this ends is a serious brain injury or death. And I just know that respecting people's human rights means giving them a chance, and that is not giving them a chance. And so I don't have the immediate answer because, people in my position have been like, oh, I've got the easy solution, have often caused more harm than good. But we are having that important discussion with, in particular, Indigenous leadership, people with lived experience. It's like, how can we intervene in those moments? And the St. Paul's piece that I talked about earlier, that's a pilot, and I hope we'll be able to roll out across the province. People who overdose, instead of going into the general emergency room, going into a particular area of the hospital that's connected to detox, that's connected to treatment, all on the same site. You don't have to leave. You recover. Here. You have that moment of clarity. We want to help you right now. And that's
not
I think
in
that's
30 days
key.
or 90 days.
Come back in a week, or even get in a cab. We're going to take you somewhere else because people they'll get out of the cab, right?
Yeah.
We see the vitriol around you. We see the vitriol around politicians worldwide. We're going to be talking about the Prime Minister of New Zealand who's saying, I can't do this anymore. How do you manage the polarization that we are sensing politically on a global scale right now?
Yeah, for me, it's about limiting exposure to social media.
Smart.
Talking to real people. And I find even people who are ideologically, completely politically opposed to my party, they still want to have that conversation. They still want to, and the amount that we have in common as British Columbians, what we want to see, everybody wants to see safety in their communities. Everybody wants to see a reasonable price for housing. Everybody wants to see a sustainable environment and a strong resource industry with good jobs, all these things. And so we disagree about necessarily sometimes how to get there. But the more we have those conversations, I think the stronger our province is, and the less we have them in a tweet.
In a silo.
Yeah. So smart. You have a lot of challenges ahead. So far, no gray hair. You look relaxed. You look like you have energy.
Right on,
we'll compare pictures side to side. When Barack Obama went gray.
He's got 2 small children. He's going to have gray hair. It's happening.
That's right.
So best of luck to you, because to your point, we all want the same thing. Yeah. We all want a healthy, prosperous British Columbia. So.
Right on. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you
Cheers.
so much.
And congratulations on your success. This
Thank
show's
you.
a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Premier David Eby coming back to make big announcements on steel and vans. He promised. You heard it, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Hopefully he will. Still ahead. Madonna makes our What the Hell is Wrong with People segment. And we're going to tell you why coming up next on Steel and Vans.